Hello. This is the recorded version of the Illustrator workshop for the data design workshop series that I'm doing. And so I wanted to have a online version of this. So first, I'm going to be talking about a little bit of the differences between Photoshop and Illustrator. So both of these are Adobe products. The Photoshop is app is mostly used for editing photos. It's pixel based. So when you increase the size of the photos, they become pixelated. I predominantly work in Adobe Illustrator, and this is generally made for creating graphics and is vector based. It's predominantly 99% of what I use. So again, this is the difference in scaling. So if you took the same circle in Photoshop and Illustrator and you increase the size by 4 times, you can see that you get this kind of rough outline. And that's because how Photoshop works. It's raster based, it's pixel based. Whereas a vector, no matter how large you scale it, will always look smooth. And generally in Illustrator, there's 4 types of files. There's JPEGs, which are photos, they're pixel based. You can't manipulate anything that you export as a JPEG, and it's a smaller file size. So generally, I only use this for photos. If a journal requires a JPEG file, that is something that you work in, but you never really work in any kind of JPEG extensions. A PNG also is not as small as a JPEG, but you can't manipulate anything that you export as a PNG. So whenever I'm working in Illustrator, the only time I ever save things as a PNG file is when I am exporting my very final figures. I mostly work in PDF or .ai, almost always in PDF. The .ai, that is, default for Illustrator. You can manipulate things in it. But if the person that you want to share the file with doesn't have Adobe Illustrator, they can't open it. Whereas a PDF, they would still be able to open it and look at it. So I almost always work in PDFs, save figures as PDFs. So to begin in Illustrator, when you open it up, it might not look like this. It'll probably first have a new document like this. And so this is where you can set your workspace. Now, we're all scientists here. For the most part, we're going to be thinking about our file sizes for page limits. So a normal page, the widest you can go is 6.5 inches, and you can go, it's 8.5 by 11. So 10, 9 inches. So that will be and you can change this, by the way, it might start in pixels. That is probably the limits of what you have for a journal page. Now, first you have this white box here. You can't edit it. It's not a square. It is literally the edges of your PDF. So anything, once you save it on this gray area, you're not going to actually see when you save it as a PDF. And I'll show that in a few minutes. So this is your workspace. You can edit it by going to File, Document Setup, and you can edit your artboards. So here's artboard 1. You can make a new artboard. And so this literally, what it creates is a PDF, and you'd scroll up and have 2 little pages on it. So we're just gonna be working on one artboard. And if you want to double check the sizes of what you're working in, you probably want a ruler. So you can go to help. Normally, when I need to find something, I'll just go to help. And you want to look up ruler, perspective grid, show rulers. Okay, that didn't work. Rulers, show rulers. Here we go. That's what I meant. Rulers, show rulers. Now, almost all the things that I do in Illustrator, I've learned all of the shortcuts. So to go in between, at least on a Mac, I don't work with Windows, so you don't have to Google how to do this in Windows. But on a Mac, to go in between your rulers, it's Command R. So that's without rulers. This is with rulers. You can see it's 6.5 by 9. Okay, so you gotta have these two sections. These are gonna be a little bit different depending on your screen. This area right here, these are your tools. So when you hover your mouse over them, they'll show you what they are. And this little thing, the little V in the box, that is the shortcut for them. So if you want to just move a mouse like a normal mouse, you're going to be in the selection things. You're going to be on V. So whenever you're doing anything in Illustrator and if something starts going wrong, you just press V. This is direct selection. This is a little bit more complex. Mostly you want to be working in V. And then you have things like drawing points on a line, which we'll get through to. These are shapes. And if there's a little like triangle here, you can right click it and you'll have all these things. So here's rectangle. They'll show you your shortcut for that. That's M versus L and all the things and so on and so forth. So these are your tools. I'll get to some of these later. On this right-hand side, you have our windows. And mine's going to be different than yours because I have purposely made mine look different. So you can add any windows by going up here and all of these things, starting with 3D materials, all the way down to version history. These are all things that could go over here. So just for fun, let's add, hmm, let's add symbols. So I click symbols and you see this here. And if I want to keep it in here to save for later, I can just drag and drop it. And then I can move symbols around on where I want it to go. So I have decided that these are the ones I use the most. So I keep them together. All right, so let's do something. So we have our artboard, we have our off artboard space, and let's make some things. So first off, I want to make a line. This is line segment tool. It's backslash on your keyboard. And I'm just gonna close these out. I make this line. And then I press V because now I want to select off of it. And I don't see it. That's because I have told Illustrator this blue thingy, this is really just when something's selected, it'll have this blue line. And if you look here, you have something called this is a fill and this is a stroke. So a line, it doesn't have a fill because, and we can show to this here. Let's double click, and whichever one's on top is the one that you're going to be working with. So I want to make this line black. And I'll do the same line. See, it's black now. Press V to get out of it. Same line, but let's give it a black stroke. Nothing happens. That's because there's still a fill, but we need to, it's all in one plane. So if you added in a second thing, like for example, if we did the curvature tool, now this kind of moves around and I click a line here, it will be filled in to make our little triangle. Well, not really a triangle. We'll get into this later. So we have this line. If we do the same thing, because this line doesn't have a fill, it will be empty. Okay, so I'll delete those. Our next thing, we have rectangles and we have circles. So if you want to make a completely perfect circle or a perfect square, the best thing you should do is you can either click once and something will come up and you can completely control the ellipse to be 4 inches by 4 inches. So it'll be a perfect circle. Or you could click this to ellipse tool or press L. And if you hold shift, it will automatically scale it to be perfect. These little pink lines, these are guidelines saying that they are matching. If you don't hold shift, you can do whatever you want here. Okay. And the same is true for squares. So here's me not holding shift. Here's me holding shift for a perfect square. And here's me clicking and saying I want it 2 inches by 2 inches. And this little thing in the middle, it's also another way to hold it. Okay. So I click this one. We have our fill, we have our stroke. let's mix it to be fill. So now we have this black square with no external line. Whereas this one, let's move it over here, just has a stroke with no fill. Let's make the fill be white. Oh yeah, to do that, I double clicked on this. I clicked on it here, and yours probably looks like this, where it's kind of a gradient. I prefer to do only web colors because sometimes you can get into weird colors that don't like plot well elsewhere. When you open up on a different computer, it doesn't look nice. So let's make this a white here. Oh, I actually hadn't clicked on anything. Let's do that again. Okay, so now I want to edit the thickness of the line. Actually, let's just do two here. Now I'm working off the artboard. You can work wherever you want. It doesn't need to be on that white square. So we have my windows here. And again, you can get there from going to window and then going to this thing that we're going to work on called stroke. I open it up. It goes right here and you can see there's different line thicknesses. So we're going to edit the thickness here. Right now it's at 1. We're going to move it down to 0.5. As you can see, this is thinner than this one. You can do thicker stroke or a thicker weight here. So really just changing it's changing the thickness of this. There's different caps, but this really only matters. I'm making a line, by the way. I just pressed the line tool. The caps really only matter um, when it's something like this. So here I've changed the caps. I generally prefer working in this one in the corners. It's just kind of little things. You can make dashed lines by clicking this dash line here. And so you have this 12-point gap, then you can say, well, actually, I want three pixels between 3 points between each dash. And I want the dash to be 6. And then I want you can just kind of mess around. So that's how you can get like an informal dash. The same thing for this. Um, so you can also copy and paste. Not really copy. You can copy the style. So here, this square has a very different style in this square. And just for fun, let's change the color of the square. The inside fill of it, let's make it be a brilliant blue. And let's make the stroke be a white. And let's say this is your preferred aesthetic and you have another square here. There's this eyedropper tool. Like, you could go through and do it all by hand, how you just did it. Or you could go to this eyedropper tool, which has the eye in it. Sorry, the keyboard shortcut of eye. I'm gonna click that. And my mouse changes. You see, it doesn't look the same. And you click this and it will get the same style. Um, and then, so let's really quickly, I'm gonna make a couple little boxes. Ooh. And we can really quickly make this I'm doing my eyedropper tool here. And I want to make a group of boxes because I'm going to make a color scheme. So I can copy, Command C, and paste. Whenever you paste something in Illustrator, it will always go into the direct middle of your screen. Now, that's one way to do it. You can also hold Option on a key on a Mac, and you can pull out another. And then you could grab 3, and the way I grab multiple objects is holding Shift. You don't hold Command. So if you shift and click on all these 3, you can get 3 of these individual ones. And you can hold Option to make it be 6. I'm not sure if I'm going to want 6, but we're going to move on to my thing. So I want to do a trendy color palette. So I have decided to just decide the fancy people at Pantene or Pantone, however it's pronounced. They decide on fancy colors. So I decided for some reason I like these colors. I'm going to do a screenshot. I'm going to take these screenshots. and I'm going to put it in Illustrator. Now, I just took a screenshot and it should be, wait, where would it be? Dropbox? No, it's going to be a desktop. So this is my screenshot. I'm going to pull it in here. And I want to make a little side note on the difference between links and not linked objects. So here, there's this big X on it. And this is an X of death. You don't want to work with anything that had X's in it because if I, for some reason, move this into downloads and then I open it up again, I promise you this will change when it updates the links. What it's saying is that Illustrator is going to look to this exact place in my computer, the exact folder, and it won't be there. And I'll say, do you want to update the links? And if it's not there, and it's been like 2 years, and your linked file isn't there anymore, you deleted it, you're not going to be able to edit it later. So you never want something in an X. I kind of wish I had just gone back, but the difference that I can add it in and it not be a link and stay there forever is if I go to open with Adobe Illustrator, it comes up in this, there's no X. I'm copying it. I'm going back here and I'm pasting it. This one, no X. This one, X. You don't work in links. So let's go back here. We have our linked file. I want to make this smaller because it's too big. So there's two ways I can do this. I can hold shift. I can just do this and it doesn't change. It changes its dimensions. Or I could shift and hold it and it maintains the dimensions. So I'll do that. And I want to, I like this light green, this darker green, this light blue, and this darker blue. And then also just for fun, I'll do this orange. So this is my color palette. I don't need this anymore, so I'm just gonna take it away. So these are my colors. Um, so I can really quickly, by the way, to get all these, I didn't shift, I held and then made a little square, then I let go of it, and that's how I got all of them. Um, I'm going to batch add a stroke to them. So they all don't have a stroke. There's no outline. And so I'm going to go to my little stroke thing here. And I'm going to make it have a 0.25 stroke. I personally like the aesthetic of a thin line. Um, and let's just say I actually want this to look like that. So this is how I can quickly apply strokes and designs to other objects. Now, oftentimes when I'm working on something, I'll have my little palettes here to remind myself so I can easily add in the settings. Okay, so now I'm going to option hold this so I can talk about transforming objects. So if you grab all these, the first thing we're going to do is talk about grouping. So when I click one of this is just one square. I can move them around. But if I wanted to move them all and I wanted them all for some reason to be like this, I can grab them all and go to group, object group. And I'm going to do that, although I normally use a keyboard shortcut. And now when I grab them all, they're all together. I can ungroup them. I can also do that on the keyboard. And now they're back by themselves. So let's first transform them. So we have these, I'm going to group them. So I just press Command G. I'm going to right click. First off, I can see my ungroup here. But I have this thing down here called transform. So I can move them. Let's move, and I want to just move them exactly 1 inch to the right. And then I can Command D and do that again. Or I can Command Z and move back. How I did that is to transform again. Whatever you did once, you'll just do it again. Now let's rotate it 45 degrees. And I have this preview thing to where it'll happen, but let's just see how it goes, so I don't actually do it. So now I'm going to preview it. It's going to rotate. And then if I press Command D, it'll go again. Okay, so, oops. We can reflect, vertical, horizontal. Um, so this is, you can't see any difference because it's reflecting like on the same page. Oh wait, this is how it is normally. With vertical reflecting, it's just doing the mirror image. So we can do that. We can scale it. So how that normally goes is if I want it really small, it still maintains, I think its weight, I'm pretty sure. Um, so the scale, wait a second, let's do, this is what they used to be. Let's do that again. Transform, scale. So they have the same weight still. 0.25 here. Get out of here. Come on. And this one also has 0.25. That's why it looks slightly thicker. You can also go larger. So this is helpful if you have something really big. You want it to really get really small really quickly. So remember how we had this? And I said you could move this down. Oops. That's funny. I was not pressing shift. You can move it down like this. You could also transform, scale it, and get it down to 15%. So multiple ways to skin a cat. All right, so we have these. We've grouped them. We've ungrouped them. We've transformed them. The next thing is alignment. So let's delete these. And let's just make multiples. Now these are all grouped. I'm going to ungroup them all. So now we have a line, which again, you can go to window, go to align, and we have all of these. I'm going to select all of them, and I want them all in the middle. Now, it doesn't matter where they went. Here's this again. Oops. Ugh. No. That's funny. To be able to do that option thing. I'm still learning. To do the option thing, it has to be in group. All right, so I ungrouped it. I want them to all be in the middle. So it doesn't matter where they are in vertical space, they just come to the middle. I'm gonna do Command Z. I could have them all be at the top, or I could have them be all at the bottom. I can have them distributed horizontally evenly, or I never really use that one. The thing I usually do is distribute spacing. Let's say I want them all equally spaced out, but now I want them all in one line. And you're like, I don't like that. I want to have spaces in between them. So I'll move one down. I'll grab them all again. I'll do vertical spacing. And I have a nice, perfectly equal spaces in between them. I want to make sure they're all in the middle. So here we go. Maybe that's how I make a long thing to show, traits across the phylogeny or something like that. You also want to think about, here, let's go back all the way through here. Ungroup. Now you can see here that this red square is above another square. And that's because they're like layers. So one of the reasons why PNGs, JPEGs, why those are so problematic and they can't really be manipulated because they've been compressed into like a single piece of paper. This is a PNG file, compressed into one piece of paper. And the thing is that all of these, this is much more like a pad of paper, where some pieces of paper are above other ones. So these are viewed in the layers folder. So, sorry, window. You click layers, you open it down, you can see all these rectangles here. I can take these three and I can group them. Let's see who they are. Here they are here. So let's say I want this to go to the top. Now I could move this up here, and now they're on the top. Oops. Um, but another way to do that, let's see, which squares are actually above it? Are you guys? Yeah. Here's these squares. They're above this one. So right now, this green square right here, this is the top piece of the paper. And these other ones are a little bit lower. And I want to bring them up for some reason. So I can do this, and I can right click, and I can go to arrange, bring to front, bring forward. Bring forward is just going up one piece of paper. Bring to front is bringing it to the top of the pad. So I'll do that. But let's say now I'm going to ungroup them just for this demonstration. Let's say I want this green square to just go one behind. By the way, I use the shortcuts so frequently. I have memorized these shortcuts here. So I brought all these three squares to the front, and then I brought this one also to the front. And I want this one to go just one down, so it can be under the orange. You go arrange, then backward. And now it's in between. Now I could have also just moved these, but it doesn't really matter. So that's the layer. If you, for some reason, wanted, let's make a little circle. Let's say no matter what, you always want this circle on top. One way is to always consistently move it, and every time you make a new file or a new image or something, it'll always go to the top. Let's say you always want it on the top. So you can go to layers. I create a new layer, and I'm gonna call this one big green circle. I always want big green circle on the top. Here, doesn't matter. Oh wait, I need to move big green circle. Let's move it up into this one. Big green circle now has this red outline, and that is dependent on this. If you hate looking at red, I think you can change the color. Ooh. But for right now, everything outlined in blue is in layer one. Everything in red is a different layer. So this is on top. Now it doesn't matter how much I'm bringing this forward. Let's see. Range, bring to front. It's not coming to front because the green square is on top. So that's like, again, if this is the blue layer, this is the other layer. It doesn't matter. They can only go, if you're in this layer, you can only go along the stack. This one can only go along this stack. And the only way to actually make meaningful change is to move them. So I could do this big green circle, and it's below this. It doesn't matter how many times I bring to front. Now, this is really important because sometimes you have really complex figures, and this thing is always going to stay there for some reason. So maybe I might want to lock it. That way I can never click it. But I can click these things, but I've unlocked it. Now I can click it. Maybe I don't want to see this for right now because it's distracting. I can hide it. It makes it really easy to do complex figures. So the layers thing, you don't have to use it, but it really makes your life simple later when you're spending a lot of time in Illustrator. Okay, so now we can get on to the things that we've already been working on. In our, where is it? This one? Here we go. We made a plot. So again, there's multiple ways. I can drag and drop this into my app, which you can't see because I have two monitors here. Or I can open it with Adobe Illustrator like this. I could drag and drop it, and look at this. It's also coming up. Oh, that's because I already had it open. Sorry, it won't do that if I do. Let's go back here. I bet if I drag and dropped it right here. Ah, see, I told you. There's a big X. X of death. Let's not do that. Let's actually open it, Adobe Illustrator here. See how you can edit it? Just for fun, let's just copy this, just to really highlight this. I'm opening it up in preview, and then I'm going to save it, or I'll export it, just so you can see. Downloads. I'm going to make it be a PNG. This is the PNG file of this. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put it in here. For one, it's bigger. That's annoying. So this is the PNG version on the top. This is the PDF version on the bottom. Do you see the immediate difference? The little things are highlighting because I can select them. And this is, again, a single piece of paper that you cannot edit. And this is my stack that I can edit. So we're going to delete that and move on with our lives. And we want to do some things. So for example, oh, no, sorry. I also talk about masks. So when you get something in R and you plot it in PDF, R will add these things called masks to them. They're invisible. You can't really see them. And if you don't know what a mask is, you're going to be like, why can't I edit this? I want to just edit this one dot. What's going on? Well, that's because it's in a mask. So going back to here, we have our squares and our circle. Let's just for fun take out the circle. And let's say for some reason I wanted to have only these section of squares in another square. I'm not sure why. Maybe it might be better on a different one. Maybe I'll do it here. Okay, let's just say I just want this section. And it's called a mask. And I'm just for fun, I'm gonna make my square in pink. And I'm saying this is the limits of what I want to see. So I press B. I clicked both of them. You can see this is blue, and I am not holding shift. I just click this one once and I right click and I do make clipping mask. So it masks everything else. So you just see what you made your square into. You can change the mask and you can mask multiple objects. So let's make this be a mask. First off, the mask has to be in the correct layer. So I'm in the wrong layer. I'm getting into layer one. See, we see the blue. It doesn't need to be full, which makes it easier. And I'm going to select all, click my mask, make clipping mask, and now you can't see them all. If I double click into it, and then I can move it around so you can't see it. Anyway, it's really helpful. R does this automatically. It can be sometimes very annoying. So you click this, and if you want to edit it, you can double click into it. And now you can move things around. But sometimes I just want to have complete control. So I right click this, I do release clipping mask. And I try to click this dot again. Oh, I can click it now. Okay. Sometimes there's like multiple layers of masks. So if you're trying to click on something like this exact dot and you click on it once, nothing happens, release clipping mask. And now, see, now you can see, now you can click on each individual one. Now, sometimes there's other things outside. Maybe you don't want to do the clipping masks, but just for this one, I want to. And this, you can see the clipping mask right here. Oh, it's a white background. It doesn't really matter. R adds a lot of things. So now this is another white background. That's funny. And now there's nothing else left there. Let's say I want to make this be an A and a B figure. I don't need this. This is going to be in the figure caption. I also don't want this. I'm going to put this in the figure caption. We might do it later. First off, I want to make this slightly smaller. So let's make our ruler. I did my Command R. And this is a little bit too large here. I want this to fit in 6.5. So I've selected them all and I'm going to shift and move them smaller. Now, if there's a lot of points like this graph on the right, it's going to have an issue, but it's fine. So I want, just so I know where I'm working out of, I keep doing the shortcuts. Document setup, edit artboards. And I want to make my artboard be 6.5. This doesn't matter. And I make this just be smaller. It doesn't really need to be that big. So that way I kind of know how big the figure is. Because you don't want to make a billboard sized figure because that's going to be just annoying. I promise you, it'll be annoying. So I'm making it a little bit larger. Maybe, I can move this over. This is annoying. I just grouped it so it's easier to move quicker. Sometimes there's a lot of points and it's not grouped. It'll just take longer to move. So if you just group it, it'll go faster. So now I kind of like how big this is. 6.5. Oh, it needs to be a little smaller than that. Be smaller than 6.5. And then now I'm doing the shortcut, moving that down. Okay, so the first issue is I don't like this gray box. So I click the gray box. You can see it's gray. We should delete it. And I need to ungroup this one. And I'm also going to delete it. Now the white lines are still there, but I don't really care. Wait, you know what we should have done? Aha, there's what we should have done. We should have made our lines. So I'm clicking my line thing right here. And I like to do it because I have to think less if the boxes are there. So I literally press L, sorry, not L, backslash. I click here, and you see that little anchor point? That tells me I'm at the base of that object. And then I can just hold shift to move it perfectly in alignment. If I'm not holding shift, so here I am not holding shift, and it's hard for me to move perfectly 90 degrees. If you click and then hold shift, you can get it exactly in 45 or 90. So pretty much the moral of the story is try always pressing shift for things. It might make your life easier. Okay. I have no idea how much time I have left. It doesn't matter. So I've done this. This is green. I don't like that. Let's make it be black. Now I can delete this. Need to ungroup that one again. Here's my lines. I'm pressing the line thing. Boop. And boop. Annoying. Come on. There you go. So here's, by the way, a place where cap might be important. So I've just selected these two lines. There's two ways I can make them not have this little square thing in here. I can do that or this, or I could join them. Joining this is we have two lines. They end at the same point. If you join them, the way the style adds it, makes it look like that. Although for some reason it makes it curved. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we have our two things here. Let's get rid of this gray background. Okay, the next thing, we haven't even talked about text. So text is right here. Sorry, type. I'm gonna press T just right now. And this is text. Now, right now, if I click elsewhere, I'm gonna make a new text box. And that's annoying. So you can either double click this, or sorry, just click this, and now I can click off of it. But oftentimes, what I have done, it's a shortcut to end the text box, is Command Enter, and then it closes it. So anything I text or type, it won't be added into this text box. And you click off of it. So in our character thing, this Myriad Pro, this is the default setting. I personally enjoy working in Helvetica or Gotham. Helvetica is typical for my things, and so we have these options. I like working in light if it gets a nice aesthetic, and we have a 12-point font. This is actually 12 point. Again, remember how I said you don't want to make billboard size figures? If it's billboard size figures, you don't really know what 12 point font is. You can still make it be in 6 inches, but you need to mess around with your font. So this is why you want to work in the actual 6 inch, 6.5 inches style for scientific figures. Okay, so you have your, this is text. You have it light. You can change the fill. Um, so it makes it nice. But let's do like a gray. I'm doing this because I'm going to make these things look nice. So 12 points way too big for this. Let's do, I think 5 is the limit that you want to do in a journal. So let's just have it be 8 point. Now I'm going to select these by holding shift and I'm pressing our eyedropper tool. Remember that's right here. How to do this. Ooh, that's way too big. Let's go back down. Let's do 6. Obviously didn't click this one. We'll get around there. Okay, so we have ZBT. Let's quickly move it here. You can very easily, once they've been moved out, um, how labels work in R is it points to the exact middle. So I know this one goes in this exact middle one here. And then sometimes, like this one, I know this one goes to this one here. And this one, when you click it, you can see this little square here. This is saying where the middle is. So that helps me identify that this one goes to this. And remember, this is a empty line. So let's make you be a thin line here. This one, it's interesting. I think that's going to this one here. And then we have these 2 points. This one is slightly higher. This one's lower. So this one is going here. Eh, I accidentally clicked the background. And then this one's going here. So by the way, the last thing you click when you make a line, it applies that same style. And there is no stroke on this text. So that's why it's becoming like this. And I do my line, it's empty. But if I click on this one and then I do a line, it's lined. That's because it just keeps the same style as the last thing you clicked on. Okay, so we have these things that maybe it doesn't look as pretty as I would like, but let's just say that I don't like the blue, the green, or the salmon color. And I remember we have already made our beautiful color palette. Put it in there, and I'm gonna make anything that's this color be this color, anything that's this color be this color, anything that's blue, I'll make it be orange. Okay, so how this works is how our plots things is you have a dot and you have a stroke. You literally set it in the code what you want each one to be. They're two different objects. This is um, an empty circle, and it's always plotted over. You can't see it. Let's make this be like this color. It is plotted over the point. That's important because it's going to help us. Um, and then you have this circle. So because this is plotted over here, what I really want is to select all of the ones that have this style. So I'm going to click one, which I brought this out. I could just do this. Oops. Let's say it's easy if you just pull one out. So I did it like this. I click this one and I go to select and I go to same. I go to appearance. What that does is you can see here that this is selected and a lot of things are selected here, but nothing else is selected. Oh, these ones are selected because they're the same color. But we're going to change them. And then I'm going to press eyedropper, and this has a stroke and fill that I'm going to add. So I do that. And because that green or that salmon circle is slightly larger and it's on top of it, it's literally going to cover all of those um, everything. So now it's completely covered. Now, I mean, maybe this doesn't look that nice. So let's take this, let's do it again, and let's do effect. Oh, sorry, select same appearance. And you know what? Let's make the stroke be 0.05. It looks marginally better, frankly. I mean, yeah, this, you don't really need to see these individual circles on this type of plot. It doesn't particularly matter, frankly. Um, because that's not, the point is just to show the idea. So let's do the other one. So I pulled out another one. I'm going to select, same, appearance, all of these. I'm going to move them down to 0.05. Now, the only reason this didn't go is because I had moved this out of the way. So I'm just going to copy and do that one. It looks like that. And then just for fun, I'll make this be 0.05 so I don't have to do it later. So I selected this. I know I selected the right one because I have this here. It's not the opposite. Select, same appearance, eyedropper, boom. So it looks very different. And this color wasn't available in here. So we can do this. But you know what? Let's just do something really fun. I'm going to really quickly do a group just to show you. Because right now, let's say I wanted to change the color of this one. But I didn't want to change any of these. If I did same select all, it would be, or do it by appearance. It would change these colors. I don't want to do that because I want these ones to be this color scheme for some reason. All right, so I made my group. You can see because I clicked on this one point and everything came up. I click on it and I go select same appearance. And because I'm in a group, it's not going to do anything outside of the group. So that way I can do this. And these ones only changed, even though they have the same appearance as these, it doesn't matter. All right, and now I have this one. I'm gonna do a same appearance. Boom. Now the lines didn't change, and that's because the lines are not, they have different fill and strokes. So I'm gonna make a little line. I've made this fill. I'm gonna take out the fill, I'm gonna move it over, and I'll make it be a 2-point line. Option, hold it, and then, ooh, shouldn't have done that. Do it again. All right. I like to make what I want it to be and then do this. So this line will be like this, and this line will be like this. Okay. So now I want to I want to make better axes. And let's say I want this to be 12 point here. I guess I could have also just copied and pasted the style. So that's one way. And then here I can copy it and then edit it here, or I can do one other thing. I could do this. So here you can move it to like this and you can rotate it. But sometimes it's annoying. It doesn't go right to 90. You could shift. Oh, wait, it's not shift. Is it shift? Yes, you can shift it and it forces it to 45 or 90. Or you could do transform, rotate, 90. So multiple ways to skin a cat. Oh, and another way. Let's say for some reason I want this. This is makes sense, but I'm gonna make it be up at the top by arrange, bring to front here, and then I click this guy, and I want to align this to this guy. So align middle and vertical align center. And then because this guy's at the top, I can just click him and I can delete him. I can make these bigger. I can make these wider. Uh, I can select same. Hmm, fill and stroke. Appearance is kind of bland. Sometimes if you stroke weight. And so it looks like these are slightly thicker than these. So I'm gonna make them be thicker. Ah, it looks terrible. Thinner, even thinner. Okay. I can group these. I can make them be bigger. So, oh, and then you have to do an A and a B. So I just press type. I made an A. Let's make it be 12 point. Let's make it be bold. You know what? I want to be even bigger. Here, here's the A. And now I'm gonna make a B. And I want them to be completely the same. And you know what? I just want this to be a little bit deeper. And oh, we forgot to make our own little legend. Boop, boop. Mm. That was blue was. Light blue was not shrub, and blue was shrub. Okay, so we've done that. We've made our files. Let's say, and we could do the significance. I think you guys get the point. So here's these two files. Now I want to add a fruit on. So I've Googled fruit. There's a lot of images. Personally, I'd rather do more of a cartoony image, or I could do vector. So fruit vector. Is this an SVG? So a lot of times you want to make sure when you're in Google, if you go to tools, you go to Creative Commons licenses. I'll bring up things that are free to use. You don't have any issues with copyright. So I kind of like this one. Um, I don't really like that one. Maybe this one. Let's see. I'm going to save image to downloads. Let's see if it's SVG. Dang, it's a JPEG. I could have sworn. It doesn't matter. I can do multiple. SVG. I wanted to show something to you guys. You know what's so funny is oh, is this it? Aha, it's it. So you see this square background? This is an SVG. It is able to be edited. Save image to downloads. I'm opening it up in Illustrator. And you click on it and it's grouped. You press ungroup. You click this, you move it around, you say, oh no, I'm gonna make it be a group. Yeah, group. Pears. Let's make an apple. All right. Now, for some reason, you're going to add it on to our. Oh, yeah, this is a difference in color scheme. It doesn't really matter. Oftentimes, it doesn't really matter. What that's referring to go to File, go to Document Color Mode. The other one was in this one versus this one. I prefer working in this color scheme. I can't really tell you the differences. But for some reason, you want to add a pear and an apple to your file. Oh, wait. Ah, I'm not sure why. It is about fruit. There you go. You add your fruits. Then let's just say for some reason that you find something that you really like. So I found something that I loved, fruit cartoon. And it was not filtered by license. I thought these were adorable and silly. I'm gonna save images to downloads. Oh no, fine. Save. I'm gonna open it up. Where is it? You save image to downloads. There we go. And I'm gonna open it up into Illustrator. And oh no, oh, this is kind of shitty. Sorry. Um, Not great here, but I'll do it anyway. So I love this pineapple that's winking. Now I want to make it be in my figure. Now I'm just showing this because it's cute. You could do this to anything. I'm gonna first try to mask it. No, I don't want to. Cancel. I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna crop the image because I really just want the pineapple. Okay. And I'm gonna do image tracing. So I crop it. Window. Image trace. So right now there's a single piece of paper. I click on it and these things come up. Preset, we're going to say it's high fidelity photo. Oh, I'm not. And then it kind of makes it really, grady. I want, can you kind of mess around with these? I want a lot of paths and I'll do more corners and I'm fine with some noise. Ooh, do this. If it's not grainy, fine. We can make this look better. Um, can I? Mm, It doesn't matter. I don't think anyone will notice. So I did this, and I want to don't do that. Okay. So I technically have already done it. If I didn't have preview, I'd have to press trace. So let's take out preview just so you can see it. I want more corners. Trace. And it traced it. I don't like that. I want less corners. And it traced it already. So I have this as my final one. I could get something that doesn't have as much stuff here because it is kind of dirty. want to expand. And right now, this is a piece of paper. And I'm telling you, I want to expand this piece of paper into a notepad. And each one of these little things will be their own thing. I don't want the fill. The fill's just the background white. And now this one thing went to very crazy stuff. So now when I click this, I have to ungroup it. And now, I'm going to do it again, ungroup. And now I can move out little pieces. Now I want to be like, I don't like this eye. I'm going to make a little eye here. Do, 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 do. Make it be like this. This would be a creepy one. I'm going to make another little black circle. And then little anime, little white circles. But they're never perfectly. I'm going to move it around a little bit like this. And then I'm going to make this guy bigger. I'm going to do two. You know what? This guy's eye is a little bit. I'm going to group them. I'm going to move it a little bit like this. Ooh, I can't. Okay, this is my pineapple. I'm going to copy that all of it and I'm going to put it, I'm not sure why, in here. Ooh, look at this. You see that? I need to take out this. Oh, and one thing I forgot to do is I didn't group it. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to group and then I'm going to delete this. Come on, get out of here. Okay. And I have my pineapple for no reason. Now the image trace would be better if it didn't start off so hazy. So higher level images are better. Okay, so that's about it. Uh, thank you, everyone. Bye.